Welcome to the Leaderish podcast with your hosts, Regina and Doris. Hey, Doris. How's it going?
Hey, Regina. It's going very well. How about you?
I'm doing really good. It's been a great few weeks since our last episode, and I am excited to dive into our topic today around habits.
I know. It's such a great topic, and I finished the book Atomic Habits by James Clear a few weeks ago, and it's been on my bookshelf and on my reading list for probably 6 months. And I know it is a top contender for books you must read, nonfiction books you must read. And I finally got around to reading it. And I know you've been studying habits with someone else. So I think we have a lot to talk about today.
I think we have a lot to talk about today, too. I've had a lot of thought around habits and my own habits and things that I do subconsciously without thinking about it, but then also things that I do consciously, and then things that I don't want to do that I actually do and why I do those things. So I've been having lots of internal turmoil around this and also doing some research of my own. So I'm excited to dig in to what you've learned about the book, and hopefully it'll help me on my journey a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is, and this is from the book from James Clear, is he talks about tiny gains in like compounding, kind of like compounding interest when you are trying to invest money and trying to increase your wealth. And if you deposit something at a young age, or you regularly deposit, again, to develop a habit of depositing money in your savings account, by the time you're 65 years old, that compound interest will have taken effect. And the more you're able to put away starting at a younger age, well, habits are the same way. It's kind of that compounding interest. And the more that you're able to develop those habits, the better those habits will stick. And I know you mentioned bad habits. That reverse is also true. If there are bad habits that we want to get rid of, it almost takes another habit to try to get rid of those bad habits. If you want to quit smoking, for example, that you have to develop habits around what to do instead of smoking. And sometimes those habits take a while to build until you can get to that point where you're not doing that bad habit that you have done for many, many years.
I have been researching Dr. Wendy Wood's work, and one of the things that really resonated with me that she says is that habits are neither good nor bad. They're just repetitive behavior or patterns of behavior, and you can actually change those, right? You can change your behavior. However, they've been ingrained in you since you were tiny. You started patterns of behavior or habits when you were very little. And the reason that you kept doing those is because there was some sort of tiny reward. It's the tiny things. Yeah. It's the small little things that you do that give you a tiny reward. You brought up smoking. I was a smoker for years. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. I was a smoker. And the thing with smoking is that you get a little bit of nicotine, and that is your tiny reward. Your brain likes that, right? You get this tiny reward, but you also create that habit. Like every time you get in the car, you light up a cigarette. That was my thing. Every time I got in the car, I lit up a cigarette. I didn't smoke at home. I never smoked at home. I only really smoked in the car and when I would have like a beer or something like that. So I created this habit of driving and drinking, not drinking and driving, people, not that. I would have a cigarette when I would drive or when I would drink and have a beer or something like that. And then also I think after I ate. Those were the 3 times that my habit pinged me, right? And I would get a small reward in my brain, of course, not in my lungs.
No. So how did you break that habit?
A lot of help, a lot of work. Also getting married to a man who doesn't smoke helped. Children, of course, help. All of that kind of helps you reframe your thinking. And so it wasn't positive to me anymore to smoke. It wasn't positive for me to smell like smoke. My brain didn't process that positivity the same way. In fact, I trained myself to process it more negatively. I also did get help as well. My doctor was able to help me with some stuff too.
So when you say trained that negativity, what were some of the I've heard little things like putting a rubber band on your wrist, and every time you wanted a cigarette or whatever bad habit it was, you pop the rubber band so that you have a little bit of pain inflicted, and that's a reminder, nope, you're not going to go do that bad habit, whatever it was, in your case, smoking.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that. For me, it was, I stink. Like, I smell bad. Or this tastes bad. I had to retrain myself on, this is gross. It took a while. I kept working through that. Now, you also have to replace it with something positive. And I think we're going to talk about that. But that was the ick side of it, kind of like laying in bed instead of going for your walk. You almost have to be like, ick. My body is doing nothing. I'm getting nothing out of this. My muscles are atrophying. You have to untrain your brain from the positive that it's created and remind your brain that that is not a positive habit.
Correct. And at the same time, you want to develop the habit that you regularly do. Let's say you want a cigarette and you decide, you know what, instead of having a cigarette, I'm going to go for a walk. Even if it's a 5 or 10 minute walk, knowing that I'm going to benefit from that. And sometimes it's the long game. Going for a 5 or 10 minute walk may not clear your lungs. It may take 15 years to clear those lungs, but knowing that you're developing that habit, and every time you want to go in that wrong direction, you flip the switch and go in the right direction until it just feels like a new normal. And you no longer want that cigarette. You want that walk. You want, maybe it is just a simple candy that you start sucking on the candy instead of having the cigarette. And it becomes a habit to try to get you out of that desire of the bad habit.
Yeah. Yeah. Replacing it with something positive that also gives you that positive benefit, that brain tingle, whatever you want to call it, something that actually creates positivity in you, and replace it with something else. Because we all have habits. You have a certain number of habits. You can't just get rid of a habit. You have to replace a habit, which is another thing that Dr. Wendy Wood said, is that replacing those habits is really important because they actually repeat forever. And you can't just stop a habit. You only can replace a habit. And I know I've said that 3 times, but I thought that was really, really important. And I think I'll say it one more time because I think it's that important. You can't stop a habit. You have to replace a habit. You have a certain number of habits. So how do you replace it, and what do you replace it with is the question.
Yeah. And the other thing that was in the Atomic Habits book that I thought was really interesting is we may have heard that it takes 21 days to build a habit. So if you want to start, if you don't floss your teeth and you want to start flossing your teeth, after 21 days, it becomes a habit. And James Clear says, not necessarily. In some cases, it may become a habit sooner. In some cases, it may take a lot longer to do that. There's not really a time constraint on developing new habits. If there's something you want to do, you just need to do it until you do it without thinking. And that's really when it becomes a habit, is when it's just such a regular part of your life that you don't even think about it anymore. You just do it.
Yeah, and that's actually backed by science. So I want to point that out. Philippa Lawley, who is at the University College of London, when she was getting her PhD in medical research, she did a study, and I think it was maybe about 100 volunteers, and she asked them to replace a bad habit with a good habit. And every single day they would measure how easy it was to do that. Like, how much did they have to think about it? Now, what's interesting is, of these about 100 people, their experiences varied greatly until it became subconscious. Some people it was 18 days. Some people it was 254 days.
And that makes
until
sense.
it became a subconscious habit.
Absolutely. The other thing, this is one of my favorite parts of the book that James Clear talks about, is it becomes an identity. It becomes who you are. And he talks about let's say we are now podcasters. Before we became podcasters, we may have said, I want to be a podcaster. Instead, reframe that mindset to, no, I am a podcaster.
Heck yeah, you are.
Heck yeah, I am.
Yeah,
So
you
are
are.
you. I know. But the same thing can apply to getting rid of bad habits. I am a non-smoker. Rather than saying, I'm trying to quit smoking, I am a non-smoker. That shift in mindset can help propel you forward and can help those habits, those bad habits, replace those bad habits with good habits, but it can also help you take those good habits and make them even stronger and make them a part of your life.
Yeah. I love that. I love that switch between I want to quit smoking and I'm a non-smoker. It is like, as of this moment right now, I am a non-smoker. Not I'm going to quit smoking, because that's in the future.
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you make it part of your identity and you make it part of the present, not the future.
Absolutely.
I am an exerciser. I am healthy. I am whatever change you want to make.
And it's your identity, and you feel it. You physically feel in your body that you are that person that you want to be. So if you want to run a marathon, not I'm training to be a marathon runner, I am a marathon runner. I am a runner.
I run marathons.
I run marathons. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
There was a time in my life that I could say I run 5Ks. I don't do that anymore. But there was a time, and that's really back to focusing on that positive mental shift. Keep it present, make it positive. I like that.
Absolutely. And I'll give you another example of something you helped me with. When I first said, I'm going to start writing blogs, and this was back in early 2024. And I thought, I think I'm going to write them about once a month. And I wrote one or two, and then I got lazy and I didn't do one for 2 or 3 months. And then I did another one. And when you and I got on a phone call back last fall, and we talked about LinkedIn newsletters, and you created a LinkedIn newsletter, invited your connections to subscribe. And I'll never forget, you said, I went for a walk for 30 minutes at lunch, and I came back and I had 30 subscribers. And the next day I had 100 subscribers, and then I had 200 subscribers. And I thought, well, I could do that. I am going to be a blogger, and I am going to write a blog once a week. And I did the same thing. And our blogs are a little bit different. They're still inspiring. And sometimes they're based on the podcast that we're recording. And sometimes we get inspiration from lots of different places. But you and I have been incredibly disciplined, and we have both written weekly newsletters since we were equally inspired by the subscriptions that we can get from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I have built my subscriber list to well over 600.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm disciplined, and I am a blogger. I'm no longer thinking about, or in the South, we say fixing to think about writing a blog once a month. I am now a blogger and an author of a newsletter that gets published every single week.
Yeah. You know, if we talk about that habit, there was positive stimuli that was created from doing that. So the first thing was, oh my gosh, I went for a walk and now I have 30 something subscribers. Like, how did that just happen? LinkedIn did all of that for me. It was very cool. And then seeing that go up now, and I've actually switched to an email platform. I still also post that on LinkedIn because I have so many subscribers on LinkedIn, but I have people who sign up for my email newsletter now that it delivers directly to their inbox. And at first, the positive stimuli for me was seeing the number of subscribers. Then what happened is people respond to my article.
Yes.
So I didn't get a lot of comments or anything like that on LinkedIn. I could see that people were looking at it, but I didn't get much feedback. When I switched over to my newsletter, then people started emailing me back. Wow, thanks. I feel like you wrote this just for me. Or have you been listening in on my conversations? This is what I'm going through right now. Or my organization is having the same challenge right now. Can we talk about this? It's been absolutely amazing to get little responses, some from people I don't know. In fact, I have to tell you this. I had one article that I sent out. I had a guy on my newsletter. I didn't really know him. I didn't know him at all. In fact, he responded to one of my emails. It was an email about job hunting and your resume and getting that updated. And he was not happy. He was not happy. He's like, okay, you make it sound easy. It is not easy when you are of this age and we have this experience and you're looking for this kind of role. It is really not easy. And I could tell that he was just really unhappy. And I sent him a response back and just said, do you want to chat about it? And he was like, okay. And so I kid you not, I just cold called this guy. He had his phone number in the email. I cold called this guy. Hey, this is Regina Towdy. And he's like, oh my gosh, you actually called me. And I was like, yeah, it just really felt to me like you needed to talk. And we had an hour-long conversation. This guy is absolutely amazing. I was so happy that I picked up the phone, but it was even receiving a pretty negative response to the email. I was able to turn that into a very positive stimulus for me because now I've made a new connection with a new friend and we text regularly. The craziest things happen when you start a habit and you continue to foster that positivity around that habit.
Absolutely. It resonated. So even though and I don't think it was negative. It wasn't like this was a terrible newsletter. He just shared his frustration. But the newsletter resonated with him. And that showed up as a positive, even though it was that frustration, it still showed up as positive in your brain because it resonated with him. And you were able to then make a difference and take it to the next step. But the habit you developed of writing that newsletter received some positive reinforcement because it resonated with him.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what keeps me going. Now, I wonder if people stop sending me a quick little note. Thanks for this. Loved this. Needed this today. I wonder if I stop receiving those, if I will eventually stop doing the newsletter. I mean, it's possible, but I do enjoy it. And thank you for bringing that up because that was a new habit that I had to form, that I would send that every 2 weeks, sometimes every week, but for sure every 2 weeks. And the podcast is also another habit. It was a habit that I had dropped because I had lost my co-host. And then when I found you, we picked up the habit again and we maintain our cadence, we maintain our conversations, and we have a great time doing it.
Absolutely. And we get that positive reinforcement by having listeners listen in and those comments too. When we are at various networking events and I was at Toastmasters on Saturday and one of my fellow Toastmasters, oh, you got to listen to Doris's podcast. It's wonderful. And
don't you love it?
I do love that.
Can you believe it that people are like that? I mean, I find it hilarious. I love to promote other people's stuff, but I always find it amazing when someone promotes our podcast or the newsletter or whatever that is. I just find it amazing. Oh, it just makes me feel so good. It is a powerful habit to build is one that's built with positive reinforcement or positive stimulus.
Absolutely. And one of the other things I thought was really good about the book is overcoming the hard parts of building a habit, because building a habit can be challenging. It can be hard, and people sometimes they start it and they give up after a few days or a few weeks or even sometimes a few months, and they give up that habit because maybe they don't get that positive reinforcement or it really isn't truly a habit. Some of the things he talks about is motion versus action. Don't get stuck on planning. clarity comes through doing. And I know we've talked about this before. It's action. We want to move forward, and constantly moving forward helps drive the results that we want to drive. We don't necessarily need to focus on those results, but if we move forward with actions, eventually we'll get the results that we're striving for.
Doris, that reminds me of how I end most of my coaching sessions. Not all, but most of my coaching sessions. I usually ask, what is the next small step you can take? The next small step, just a tiny thing. What tiny thing can you do to move forward? That really aligns with what James Clear is saying, right? Like, you've got to take the next step. You've got to do the thing, or at least take the step to do the thing. You're not going to go outside and walk if you don't put on your shoes. So the next small step is to put on your sneakers.
Yes. A lot of physical fitness enthusiasts will say, do something. If you want to start yoga, just pull out the mat and sit on the mat for 5 minutes. You don't have to do any yoga. You just sit on the mat. And the next day, maybe you sit on the mat and do a few poses. And the next day, you turn it into a 10-minute routine. And pretty soon, that 5 minutes of just sitting on the mat will turn into a 30 or 40 or 50-minute yoga routine. And the same thing with,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, the same thing with, they call it couch to 5K. So someone that has never run in their lives, yes. Yeah. You start, it's that couch to 5K. And like you said, you just put on your shoes. That's all you need to do. You don't even need to leave the house. The first step is put on your shoes.
We did leave the house. Our program was a whole bunch of people. I had just had Oliver, and so I was trying to run with a stroller, which was not easy to do. But you're right. Our first outing together, we just walked, and I don't even think we walked 3 miles. I think it was like 1.5 miles. That was the first step.
Yeah,
30 minutes of walking.
Yeah. I say something similar when I talk about coaching, or even when I give my little elevator pitch. And we talk about the vision. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? And then we back it up. And I always end with, and what are you going to do on Monday to get started? And sometimes that the light bulb goes off. I don't have to think about 5 years. Yes, my vision might be 5 years from now, but I don't really need to worry about 2030. I just need to worry about, what am I going to do on Monday? And sometimes that can settle someone down into realizing that it just takes a small step to get started, and it's that forward movement.
What's the next small step you can take? Absolutely. But there's also something there too with habits. It's the middle part until it becomes a subconscious habit. It's that middle part of, okay, I did it one day. Now I have to do it for, as one of the people in the study that I referred to, it took 254 days. So how do you stay motivated to continue to move forward on this new habit for that long? The first day is the one small step. How do you continue to take those small steps?
Sometimes it is pairing a habit that you want to build with something that you are already doing. And maybe it is, let's talk about flossing, because there was a point in time where I didn't floss my teeth every day. And I even had a dentist say, don't worry about it. You're just going to lose all your teeth. So you're never going to develop that habit. I know you're not. And it was almost like, well, yes,
what a jerk.
Yeah,
please tell me you don't go see that dentist anymore.
No. That was
Ew,
30.
shaming.
And I think he shamed me into doing it. I mean, I actually fired that dentist. I never went back to him after that. But he shamed me into starting that habit. And maybe that was his ploy. Maybe that was what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and he lost a client.
He did lose a client. So that was not the right way to handle it. But he did shame me into starting that habit. But the point was, I already brushed my teeth twice a day. And it wasn't that hard to add flossing my teeth, either before or after I brush my teeth. I actually usually do it before. Some people do it after, but that's not the point. The point is brushing the teeth and flossing became that double habit. One doesn't happen without the other in the evening. Yeah. And after about 21 days, I think it did turn into a habit. So it was about that length of time for me. And I have been doing it now for 25 years. Yeah. And I know it's one of those I never miss a day. Never.
Yeah. I floss like 12 times a day. We won't even go into that. Flossing is like a little overboard for me. But the same thing, I like these whole dental care habits because I think I'm trying to build dental care habits with my children. And I started water picking my teeth. I had some dental issues. Actually, I had to have 2 teeth extracted and have 2 completely fake teeth in the back of my mouth, and I'm not losing any more teeth. This is not okay for me. And one of the things that they recommended was water flossing, also to get the stuff out from underneath the fake tooth because it doesn't go all the way down. Anyway, so now I water floss every single night. Now, sometimes I forget. Sometimes I miss, sometimes I'm just lazy and I'm like, nope, I'm just going to brush and go to bed. I never forget to brush, but it is such a subconscious habit that even if I forget a day, I come back to it. Like it's not, it's just something that I do almost subconsciously, part of my nighttime routine of washing my face, putting my lotion on, water picking, and brushing. It all kind of goes together every night. It is now a subconscious habit. I hardly even think about it. And actually, the positive that I get from it is I sleep better, I feel better, I don't have makeup on my face. If I leave makeup on my face, my eyes itch all night and I'm miserable. So I get better sleep, I feel better, I'm ready to go to bed. It's my cue to go to sleep. All of these things are positive, just like the flossing is part of your routine and positive for you.
Yeah, since you said sometimes you forget, and another really good key point to building habits is you can miss once, don't miss twice.
Yeah. I usually don't miss 2 days in a row or then twice.
If you miss 2 days in a row, you've started developing a new habit of not doing it. And that goes in that negative direction. So you're trying to build a habit of a healthy habit, whether it's exercise or dental hygiene, or if you're trying to build a business and you want to podcast daily, if that's the habit you want to develop and you miss 2 days, you've now developed a new habit of not doing it. And yes, you want to give yourself grace if you miss, but you want to get right back on that horse and start riding again and moving forward.
Because it's not a disaster if you miss doing it once, right? An occasional lapse does not derail your progress. It's not a disaster. Just get back going again.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't stop. Don't let it continue by not doing the positive thing. Mm-hmm. Get back on, keep moving forward. I love that. And that's really reassuring too, because we are human. And we're going to lapse, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to forget, or we're going to decide, nope, tonight I'm just going to skip that. Just don't do it 2 days in a row or for multiple days or for multiple instances. Sometimes a habit might be something that you do 4 or 5 times a day or 20 times a day if it's water. And so, maybe your goal is to drink this many ounces every hour. Maybe in hour 4 of your day, you forget to drink that many ounces or you only get half. It's okay. Just make sure that you're continuing to drink your certain number of ounces in the next hour.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had another revelation not too long ago that I realized has a lot to do with building good habits. I developed a clarity workshop that I'm going to give at a networking event in a few months. I'm putting it together. In fact, I practiced it at Toastmasters on Saturday to rave reviews. I had to take 45 minutes down to 10 minutes. But the point that I was making in that is I realized a few weeks ago, I was listening to another podcast, and the revelation was that everything that I ever truly desired in my life, I achieved. And I achieved it in a lot of ways through habit, through building habits. So if it was let's say the degree that I earned from the University of Michigan, that became a habit to make sure that I could get the credit hours that I needed and the study time that I needed in order to earn that degree. Or the professional designations that I've earned that I said, okay, I want the CPCU. That's an insurance designation. I want the CPCU designation. What do I need to do to get that designation. Okay, I take at the time 10 exams, this many study hours, and I was very disciplined at studying however many hours it needed that I needed to study to earn that designation.
Yep.
And I realized that all of that was really habit developing the habits and the discipline to move forward in the direction that I needed to go in order to attain the achievement that I was going after. And a lot of that also had to do with the feeling like I already earned it, that I already achieved it. So a lot of it is that emotional mindset that you have inside your head and feeling like, I want that so badly that I'm going to move forward. And I know it might take, in terms of a degree, it could take years to get that degree or that designation or that promotion or that achievement. But I'm going to take the next 1, 2, 5 years knowing that that is going to be the end result. But those small steps forward, developing the habits today so that I achieve the results that I want tomorrow.
There's a few things that I think that I heard in there that I want to call out, maybe for myself, I don't know, maybe for you listening, but the example that you gave, you automatically did it. It was conscious to begin with, and then it became almost unconscious to continue through it. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't an option. You continue to work through that degree and that designation. Mm-hmm. And at most steps, not everyone, because you probably maybe had a couple bad grades in there, but at most steps, you were reinforced by positive rewards. Even if they were tiny, you were reinforced in some way mentally with positive rewards. You got 3 more credits. Oh, you got another designation. Oh, you finished this class. Whatever that was, you continued to move forward because of those small rewards. That's also how bad habits are formed, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you were to sit on the couch and eat chips every night while you watch TV, you are getting a small reward from the crunchy and salty, and it becomes a habit to eat those chips or that popcorn or whatever every night while you watch TV. It's a subconscious habit with a positive reward. How do you change that into either not eating and creating a small positive reward for yourself, or eating something healthy like carrots and still feeling that small positive reward? You've got to be reinforced, and you have to figure out how your brain wants to reinforce. Yours was moving closer to a goal. That was your reward. You kept moving closer to that goal, which kept reinforcing the work that you were doing and giving you those small positive rewards. I think that's very interesting how our brains work.
Yeah, and you said something interesting about the bad habits. And how do you fix that? How do you change sitting on the sofa, eating a bag of chips every night? Well, it goes back to that identity. Who is the person that you want to be? If you are perfectly fine and being addicted to chips and television is who you think you are and who you want to be, you're not going to change. You're never going to break that bad habit if that's who you think you are. But if you switch that habit and say, I am healthy, I am a healthy athlete, it's going to be an easier switch because you see who you want to be. Let's say that comes with weight loss that you want, and that 5K that you want to run, or whatever it is in that healthy direction that you want to do. You still have to be disciplined not to eat the chips and not to sit in front of the TV, but it's more about who do you see yourself as. If you see yourself as a healthy individual, it's going to be a lot easier to switch the chips to the carrots. It'll be a lot easier to do that if you see yourself as a healthy human being. And sometimes what you also need to do is take a period of time, see if you can do it. So I'll just give you an example of something that I know a lot of people do: cleanses. And I've done on a couple of occasions, I've done an Arbonne cleanse. And the Arbonne cleanse comes with, you take all that good stuff that you think you need to survive, whether it's the sugars or the fats or the alcohol or the coffee. You take all of that stuff out of your diet for 28 days. And it's a 28-day program And instead you replace all that bad stuff with good, healthy stuff. And sometimes it's a matter of, let's see if I can do it. Can I be disciplined enough to develop this habit just for 4 weeks? And let's see what happens in my body as a result of this 4-week discipline. And sometimes you can just almost trick your body to say, well, let's just give it a try. Let me give this new habit a try.
Yeah.
And let's see how I feel or how I look or how my brain is after that 4-week time period. And if it's something that I like, if I like how I look, how I feel, or maybe someone has made a comment, oh, you've lost weight. Oh, I can see the toning of your muscles. That is now a new positive reinforcement that says, oh, maybe those chips aren't so good. Maybe the carrots actually taste better than the chips taste because of the reward that I'm getting either from what I see in the mirror, on the scale, from my friends, that positive feedback that I'm getting from that discipline that I took for a short period of time, which then turns into a positive habit because of the positive reinforcement, because of the short time that I took just to see if I could do it.
Because I eat carrots at night.
I am a carrot eater.
I love it. What a great way to wrap up this episode today on such a great positive tone where we are reinforcing our own positive behaviors, we're changing our own behaviors, and we're setting new habits. I just love it. Well, that is about all the time that we have today, but we would love to talk to you. So you can find all of our links in the show notes. Actually, Doris, I think you can go, if you want to subscribe to either of our newsletters, you can go to our websites and you can subscribe to the newsletter, or you can subscribe to the newsletters.
You know what? Let's do something different. Why don't we add our newsletter subscriptions into the show notes? Because we would love to have our listeners go directly there. Yes, they're on our websites, but maybe we'll make it even easier and have a link directly to the newsletter.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah. I mean, let's create a new habit today.
A new habit and challenging our listeners to create a new habit of subscribing to our newsletter.
Yeah, and then reading the newsletter
and giving us
every
feedback
other week when it comes in, and sending us little notes of support, because that's our small little wins to keep us going. Anyway, great idea, Doris. We're going to do that. Also, take a few minutes to review our podcast. If you're listening on audio, give us a 5-star review. If you're watching us or listening on YouTube, give us that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe either via wherever you get your podcasts or YouTube. This whole YouTube thing's pretty new to us, but I think we have 10 or 11 episodes now on video. All of our audio episodes are on YouTube now, but we have 10 video episodes. Doris and I are really, really proud of this, you guys, because I drug my feet for 4 years doing this podcast. And even for a year of doing the podcast, I'm like, we'll do it one day. We'll do it one day. So huge deal for us that we have that many episodes on video. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave a comment. We'll comment back. We usually do, usually in a day or so. Anyway, and if you're interested in being a guest, reach out to leaderishpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to chat with you and talk about what you want to talk about. So that is about it for today. Doris, great conversation, and cheers.
Cheers.